Hello, Flosstube. This is Heather, the 20-minute stitcher, back from StitchCon, barely awake. I mean, I got back yesterday, but then didn't sleep well last night. I had to go back to work today, blah, 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 blah. But this is video one of what I think will probably end up being sort of a three-part series of videos recapping StitchCon 2022. It was a fantastic weekend. Met so many people, not as many as I thought I would meet. I ended up sort of sitting with my table of online friends that I got to meet in person for the first time, which was great too. But it was awesome. I will put together some more coherent thoughts for the next video. But I figured today I would quickly jump online for part one of my StitchCon 2022 recap. I figured I would show you the two finishes I had at StitchCon, as well as the progress that I made on the whips that I brought with me. So for those of you who I perhaps met at StitchCon, who perhaps learned of my channel at StitchCon, and maybe are watching me for the first time, welcome. Hello again. I'm so happy you decided to check me out and spend some time with me. For those of you who have been with me for a while, maybe from the very beginning, welcome back. I'm so excited to get to share with you the great progress that I made at StitchCon. So, as I mentioned, I think I'm going to end up filming 3 StitchCon recap videos. This one I will show my two finishes and my whips. Another one I will show sort of the gifts and the freebies and the things that I got at StitchCon. And then the last one I'll show my haul from StitchCon, which was a lot. I was very good for a while about spending only the cash I brought with me. And then the rest of the story I'll share for that video or save for that video. Let's go ahead and get into my finishes and my whips. So I know in my previous video I said that I was going to probably take only 3 projects with me. I ended up taking 5, and I actually did stitch on all 5. So first, on Thursday night, I did have my first finish. I was an overachiever and had one very close to being able to finish. And so did finish it. So my first finish of StitchCon was Bent Creek Fall La La. My little llama, she's so cute. So I did finish this on Thursday night. So the very first night I got to ring the bell and show off Fall La La by Bent Creek. And this was stitched on whatever this mystery linen is that was left over from a project I decided not to do. And I stitched it with all of the called for colors except for the red leaves. Oops, sorry, that's really bad. There we go. The red leaves. I think it called for cherry cobbler, and my LNS didn't have that color. So I substituted Lancaster red. Oh, look, and here are some of the needle minders I got at StitchCon. I was looking for one of those because I got it from my mom. Sorry, I'm trying to find. So yeah, so Bent Creek Fall La La is the pattern. I used all of the called for floss colors, which are 4 Classic Colorworks colors and 6 Weeks Dye Works colors. And yes, the pattern calls for Classic Colorworks Cherry Cobbler for the red leaves. My LNS didn't have that one, so I picked Weeks Dye Works Lancaster Red instead. So that was my first finish. And then my second finish was the JBW Designs, A Very Merry Spring. And I no longer have the pattern, because I did put it on the freebie table and someone else snagged it up. But here's the finished product. And it's a good thing I finished it because the Weeks Dye Works floss that I chose, there are literally 2 strands of floss left. So it's a good thing that I was able to finish it with what I had. So this I stitched on It's a Peach 32 count Lugana from Bestitch Me with Weeks Dye Works Capri. I stitched 2 strands of floss over 2 threads of fabric. So that is a very merry spring. And I finished this on, I think, Saturday. I finished this one. So super excited to have 2 finishes at StitchCon. And then I also am also pretty proud of myself because I made sure that I made progress, that I worked on every project I brought with me. I maybe didn't do a ton, but I did work on everything that I brought with me. So my June focus project is the Modern Folk Embroidery Pride Stitch Along, the Move Forward in Love. And this one I worked on a little bit on 2 different days and made some decent progress, not a ton, but I did finish sort of the petals of this top flower. This is the upper left of the pattern, and started on sort of I keep calling it the bulb of the flower. But yeah, so made a little bit of progress on this one at StitchCon. Before I went to StitchCon, I had, I think, 2. I'll see if I can find an older photo and insert it, but if I can't, for reference, I think I had sort of the yellow and the orange and maybe the green one done. And so I did the blue and the red and started on the bulb here. So that is the progress that I made. And this is also on a Be Stitch Me fabric. Again, 32 count Lagana from my Fabric of the Month Club in the color of Frost. And again, using all the called for DMC on this pattern, 2 strands of floss over 2 threads of fabric. And this one is being held in my Nerge fabric hoop that the lovely Stitches and Diamonds got me interested in. Still really, really like it. So I think when I'm allowed to spend money on cross-stitch stuff again, I will. Sorry for the noise. I might buy myself another one of those. The next project I worked on, well, maybe not the next. I'm not really showing these in order necessarily. Another project I worked on. Oh, more needle minders. These are mine, my Rosebud Motel. I had those when I went to StitchCon. But the next project I worked on was Haunted Fur by Kit and Bixby. And the exciting thing about this is, you may recall I've mentioned before that the fabric I'm stitching this on was fabric that was dyed for me and gifted to me as part of a Halloween holiday card exchange. And I couldn't remember who had given me this fabric because I had gotten 2 pieces of fabric that were somewhat similar in palette. And my friend Vanessa was at StitchCon with me, saw the fabric and went, oh yeah, I dyed that one. So now I know who dyed the fabric for me. So yay. So I made some nice progress on this one, worked on this one for a couple hours. So I finished this pumpkin at the bottom and get my needle out of the way here. Just stick it back there. So yeah, so before StitchCon, I had this cat done and I had kind of the outline of this pumpkin done and I think his mouth. So I finished this pumpkin at the bottom and actually I finished both of the bottom pumpkins. I finished both of these 2 pumpkins and then started this one is the progress that I made at StitchCon. This also I'm using the called for floss. I think I'm trying to remember if this one calls for DMC or if I'm using DMC conversions. Sorry, I probably should be a little more organized. Could you tell I was just excited to get back into, no needle minders for you, Pecan, stop it. Oh no, I'm sorry, this one calls for sampler threads and I am using the sampler threads. See, I clearly need to go back to sleep. Pecan, stop. Sorry, my one cat. His dinner time is at 7:30. It is 7:03 right now, and he is very displeased that I am not giving him his food now. I'm surprised that he isn't yelling at me. But anyway, so this calls for sampler threads and provides DMC conversions. I am using the called for sampler thread colors. And I'm also using, if Pecan will get off it, So before StitchCon, I'm going to cheat a little bit just because they're in here. I made some scissor fobs to share with my friends that I was meeting down there, and had some extras that I gave away as well, but I kept some for myself. And so this is I made a little Halloween scissor fob, so of course it goes on in my Halloween project bag. And then these scissors I actually did buy in the annex at StitchCon. They're not exactly Halloween, but they're autumn, and Halloween is in autumn, so it counts. So I'll share those just since they're in my project bag. Excuse me, Pecan. Hot, no, let go. No claws on my project bag, please. Stop. Okay, sorry. He's being a menace. Here, Pecan, do you want to say hi? Say hi, Pecan. I know. He's like, I don't want to say hi. I want you to feed me. Okay, so that is Haunted Fur. And just 2 more left. I'll figure that out later. Okay. Then the last pattern I brought with me for me to stitch on was my mental health care May, or my mental health care stitch along project from May, which was Mental Health Awareness Month. This is the Grow Through What You Go Through pattern. And this was what I stitched on Sunday, on the last day there. So when I shared this with you all last, I had the word grow done. I had this top kind of curl on the banner done, and I had the word through stitched. So everything else, this sort of side of the banner here, and everything at the bottom of the banner I added at StitchCon. So this stitches pretty quickly. This was really only about maybe an hour and a half of stitching, and probably 30 minutes of that hour and a half wasn't really focused stitching. I was stitching and talking. So that is the progress I made on that one. And then the last project I took with me to StitchCon was my Hello from Liz Mathews friendship basket. And if you'll recall, this is the one where the stitcher stitches the basket and part of the border frame, and then the idea is to pass it around at your cross stitch retreat and ask your new stitchy friends, old stitchy friends, to add flowers to it. Well, I said to my friends, like, add anything you want to it. Flowers, anything that represents you, anything that represents what you're currently stitching. And so this is my friendship basket. Now, I was having too much fun stitching myself and talking to people. I honestly didn't even start passing around my friendship basket until probably Saturday night. So I didn't get a whole lot in, but I did get everyone at my table. And then there was another table where I just had a really great conversation with the ladies sitting there. And so I asked each of them to add something too. So that's really all I got done, but that's okay. I'm okay with it because it is people that I enjoyed meeting and talking to. So it'll be a nice memory. One of our freebies, and I'll share it when I do that video, was the StitchCon logo pattern. And one of them was a narrower one. I'm actually going to see if maybe it'll fit, or if I can make it fit. Maybe if I stitch 1/1 or something, see if I can maybe make it fit inside my border, and then that will maybe cap it off. So we'll see. But this is my friendship basket. So I had my one friend who loves butterflies, stitched a butterfly. This is a gay feather plant, or a stalk from a gay feather plant, because we went to the Crone Conservatory and they had gay feathers outside, and I commented on how I have those at my house, and they're great for attracting butterflies, and they're really beautiful. And so one of my friends stitched a gay feather for me. This is a bow, because at the time this friend was stitching this, I was finishing the bow on my Very Merry Spring pattern. And then some of these are the flower patterns from that Liz Mathews provided in her pattern. I have a little heart, a little star, a little paw print. The paw print's kind of hard to see because it's very small, but a little paw print. And so that is my friendship basket. And that, my friends, is all of my stitchy progress, all of the actual stitching I have to show from StitchCon. So the next video will probably be the freebies and the giveaways. There were so many. I won't go through each and every single one of them, but I'll sort of show you this is everything, and then show you some of my favorites that I received, or some of the ones that I thought were sort of coolest or just most interesting. And then my final video will be my haul from StitchCon. So I'm not sure when I'll record next. I might record on Wednesday evening, or you might get a double feature over the weekend. So stay tuned. Thank you as always for joining. I hope that if you are new, you will choose to subscribe. Please like the video. Please leave a comment. Would love to just hear about what you're stitching on. If you have any questions for me as well about StitchCon, about my projects, happy to kind of add a little Q&A segment. If there's anything, I know I've offered before, if there's anything you'd like to see from my channel that I don't currently include, and I know a couple folks suggested getting an overhead tripod so that I could do some like time lapse of my stitching. Still looking into that. Probably have to wait until I can financially recover from StitchCon. Actually, I was good for the most part, but do need to pay off my hotel and things like that from StitchCon before I'm investing much more money on other things. But that is on my list of things to look into and figure out how to do. But if you have any other questions about my stitching or about me or about StitchCon, please feel free to share those in the comments as well. I'd be happy to answer those in my next video. So as always, thank you for watching. I hope all of you are well and getting to enjoy the summer or the winter if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. But I hope that you are finding joy in your everyday, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and happy stitching. Bye.